Hello and welcome to The Damp Show. Today we're joined by Luke Forgione, who is currently the manager of Worsbrough Bridge Football Club, who play in Barnsley's local league and semi-professional team. He's going to talk about his life, how he went from school through to getting his football UEFA badges and all the jobs that he's had in between. He's very, very ambitious coach. He's wanted to get to the higher level. He's worked 2 and 3 jobs at a time, and he's also paid for his own education in places. It's a very interesting story. He's a mate of mine, and I think you're going to enjoy this interview. Hello, welcome to the Damp Show. Today I've got Luke Forgione, and I know I'm not saying that right, so I'm going to let Luke say it. So go on, Luke.
Forgione.
This is where 4G come from, is it?
Yeah. So it's an acronym for my name. So for obviously FOR number 4. G was G and I together, and ONE spells 1, so 4G1.
And it's Luke Forgione. So where did Fudge come from?
It came from primary school, to be honest. It kind of just stuck as a kid. I got like Forge, Fudge, you know what I mean? Loads of different things on abbreviation. One of my best mates who lives in Australia now, he still calls me Forge. It's like, not many people call me that. But yeah, so it came from that. I don't know, I just Fudge kind of stuck with me. And then as I grew up, I realised that a couple of my aunties have been called Fudge as a nickname as well as a child and stuff like that, my dad, so I think it's just stuck really.
And which junior school were you at?
I went to Kerrisforth as a child at Dodworth, but I was born in Leyland near Preston, so my dad worked for Leyland Leyland Buses it were at the time, and then we moved to Dad moved to Penistone on himself originally at 7-year-old, and then we followed suit a bit later, so I've got a Barnsley accent now, but yeah.
Where's Italian connection? Is that your mum, your dad? Is it
It's
your
my
grandma,
dad.
your granddad?
Yeah, so it's my dad's side, and I'm just going to make you laugh as well, because my dad's Irish. So
Really?
he was born in Belfast, and he came to England when he was 14 in Lancashire, and met my mum over there. But before that, his ancestors had travelled from Italy to Belfast and set up a business over there, so that's where it came from.
I know I've seen on social media you went. Did you go a few years ago? You went over, or do you go back? Do you go back to visit family regular?
I don't. I've never been, to Belfast. No, my dad goes quite a bit, but like
I'm on about Italy.
Oh, Italy. No, to be honest, I've never even been back to. No. I've been to Rome. Been to Rome a couple of times. I've been to Italy a few times, but I've never been to where where my name's from. To be honest, my mum and dad have, but I've never been. It's from Naples, and I've never been.
Right. So you started off at Kerrisforth.
Yep.
How did you find it? What were your favourite subjects, and what were your mates when you were there?
Well, it was a bit of an eye opener at first. If you imagine like 7-year-old, I'm coming from Lancashire, to move to Yorkshire, got a Lancashire accent, so I like stick out like a sore thumb. I think I always remember that. And to be fair, kids were all right. To be fair with me, I think some people found it a bit interesting. So I wasn't bullied or anything like that, which I think sometimes you can be.
Yeah.
But now I find most people found it interesting. And I think my main subjects, I think, were always just sport. I think like football. I just love playing football, and I think that's always been my main interest. And I was quite handy at most sports. So like, for example, I don't know if I any sports in PE or anything like that. I was always involved.
Were you academic? Because I mean, just thinking what you do now, like you've got to have a bit of brains to what you're doing now. I mean, we'll go there like when we get later on. But were you academic at school, or
I wouldn't say
mainly sports?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was. I would say like, I remember in classroom, and you always think them kids are clever, and then you think them kids are slightly behind you in that respect. So I'd say that I'm probably middle of the road, average person, maybe pushing higher, maybe a stretch if I worked hard, but I'd just say middle of the road, average person, really.
And from Kerrisforth,
Yep.
where did we go to there?
Kingston.
To Kingston. And how
Yep.
did you find that when you first went up? Because this is when all schools merge,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah. For me, like, I enjoyed it. I always enjoyed it. And I said if I could go back, I'd definitely go back to school because I actually enjoyed it. Not many people, I speak to some people that didn't enjoy it, but I did. For me, I think because I played football as a child, I was involved in schoolboys and stuff like that and trialling at different clubs and that as a child. Before you know it, you become involved in the football teams at college and stuff like that, and people get to know a little bit who you are, and you become not like popular, but like loads of lads know who you are at school, and obviously girls start to show a bit of interest as well. Like, so I don't know. I've just been smooth, really, to be fair.
So you were in junior school football team.
Yeah.
Who kind of got you into doing, into that? Did you fall in? Did school have a football team and you went, I'm going to go into that? Or
yeah,
did I don't know? Did somebody say, oh, you seem good at football? Like, why didn't you join this team?
Basically, what happened were before I moved to Barnsley, my dad my dad played football a little bit, and he were all right. I've been told he was decent. He had a chance to go and trial in Ireland to be pro, but it didn't work out for him at the time. So my dad pushed me into football. Something I do with my own son a little bit at the moment as well, I think. But I just ended up, because I played football and they were all right at school. Kids get to speak about you, like, so our year. I was speaking to my old school teacher the night actually in town when I saw you, and he said to me, he says, I picture you, when you were at year 4 and we were year 6s, and I was playing in school primary team at year 4. I can't remember what age that is. I'm probably 9, and we're 11-year-old boys as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It just started from there, and when I came to Barnsley, I started playing for a local club. I originally went to Dorif at the time, and Dorif were really good, and I couldn't get in that team at the time.
Yeah.
And so I ended up moving to Bart Boys, and I came across probably most of my long-term friends now. So like you were out with Lady the other day, both ladies. I played with both of them as kids, so I know them for a long time. So and it just snowballed from there.
You had a good team.
We had a good side, yeah. So obviously Lady they both ended up signing at for football clubs, Barnsley and that, and Scunthorpe as that. So we had a good side, and Tom Arbin were in that side as well, who works for Barnsley Football Club now, and so yeah, we had a good side.
Did you have a chance up at Oakwell?
I trialled quite a lot. I was in the Centre of Excellence before it went to an academy system. I had a couple of trials at Leeds United as a kid as well, and I got offered a trial at Bradford City at 16. So
what process when you went for a trial back then? What did they say to you? Did you get a letter? Did someone phone you up and say, can you come?
The way I remember it as a child, I remember like there would be a scout at the game. Obviously they'd take your details of your parents or something like that, and I always remember actually receiving a letter from Barnsley Football Club Centre of Excellence, being invited to go down and trial and represent the club and that. And I always remember like it felt brilliant at the time. It's always something that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So it sits with me, and I remember that quite a lot. But yeah, that was the process really. Just got a letter to go down and trial.
Can you remember any kids who were trialling with you?
I can actually. So for example, Nicky Rowe trialled with me. So he played a similar position to me at the time, and obviously Nicky went on to be professional as well. So he was in my age group as well. There was a lad called Dan Sheard, I think, at the time.
No, Dan.
Yeah.
I've been on holiday with Dan.
He was a good player as well.
Yeah.
Good player. And Drew Talbot, he's well known, I think, in this area as well. He played for Sheffield Wednesday, scored at Millennium Stadium with playoffs for maybe League 1, League 2 final. So he was in that setup.
Yeah,
it was good.
Good,
yeah. So unfortunately, I didn't obviously make it, but like them lads who were up against, you look at them and think they've done really well at the game and that, and you know what I mean, just to, I suppose in some respects to have opportunity to even be in that field or that pool of players. I must have had a bit of talent.
Definitely. So what position were you playing?
As a child, I were always like a midfielder, so I'd play centre midfield, or sometimes I'd play on the left hand side. Really, so I just like playing. I like playing centre midfield. It were because you were always involved in the game at the heart of everything, and that were me really. I always wanted to be involved in the game, so I like to get on the ball, try and score goals, make tackles. You're just typical midfielder, really, centre mid, and that's what I like to do. So I always wanted to play centre mid, but as I got older, I ended up going further back. So people tried to put me in defence, really. But
Yeah.
if you look at me, I'm not the biggest, but I did play in defence, as well, when I got older.
Well, what they say is left and right backs are normally failed midfielders.
Yeah.
I think I ended up at left and right back when I played in my pub team.
Yeah.
So so that's what happened. So good. Were you any good at school? Did you do well at Kingston?
Well, I left school. I don't know if what you'd say do well. I'd probably said I left school, if I remember, I had 7 A to C's. So I got 5 B's, 2 C's. Probably not the most. I remember being at school and some kids saying I've got 10 and 11. You know what I mean? So I was thinking again, if you go back to it, middle of the road, really. I think.
Did you have a careers teacher?
We had a bit of. I always remember careers being there, but accessing it, and probably didn't access it as much as I can. I can't remember if we had lessons in it or not, or if it was left to us to go and discuss that with the careers teacher. There was somebody there. I always remember that. But
I'm just wondering if there were any conversations, and you said, "Well, I fancy being this when I leave school." Did you want to do when you left? What were you?
You know what? I were in two minds at the time. My mum and dad never went to college, so my dad was an engineer, and my mum she went to work at 16, so none of them had been through education. So they never really pushed education on me. They were more like, you need to get a job type of thing. I didn't really know. I left school at 16. I enjoyed sport, but at that moment in time, I thought about going into police. So I ended up studying public services at college.
It's funny that, because a lot of lads who I knock about with, like Brett, trainer, they all did that course, public services course, and I'm wondering whether it's a course that a lot of schools push for some reason.
Yeah, still very popular at the college now.
Yeah,
the numbers of students at that on our public service courses are really high. So it's really.
It's public service. Is that just police, or is it like fire service?
Yeah.
So once you've done that, it's like a foot on ladder into that. So So it's a test everything.
Yeah, it was a good course. I didn't obviously go down that route after, but some of the experiences that the students get now is really good. They're like military prep, so the armed forces will come in, the Navy comes into college as well. Obviously paramedics will come in, police. So they get a great experience there.
And it's going to be popular now because you're going to get paid for training.
Yeah.
Unlike going to university, where you end up in debt when you come out.
Yeah.
So it's, I think a lot of parents are kids, unless they're going to be like lawyers and these things where doctors and that, where you've got to go to university. I think these courses like that, it's armed services and stuff where they can get a trade.
Yeah.
I think they're going to appeal to a lot of people, aren't they?
Definitely,
I'd say.
Yeah, definitely.
So you get to your exams and get your results.
Yep.
What happens after this then? Where do you go from there?
I'm probably like the most non-traditional person in respect of a journey that you would imagine, really, I think, to where I am now. So I would say I'm always behind in some respect, like trying to catch up. So I came out of college, obviously done public services. One of my mates is an electrician. He were making good money, and he was like, you need to get in a trade, like you can do this, you can do that. And I was like, I didn't really know where we were going to go at that time. I still didn't fancy police. So I think I actually went into the trades. So I started like apprentice bricklaying. Did that for a couple of years, I think. Probably what I'd have been then, 18, 20 at the time, maybe. Enjoyed it, to be fair. I really did enjoy the job.
Backbreaking.
Yeah. It's hard work. I always remember, I think what the game changer were for me is that I went to work one day and the bloke I was working for, nice bloke, got a lot to say for him. I still hold him in high regard in that respect. Sent me to a job one day and he says, will you dig this manhole? And I went gardening and I ended up we couldn't find it. I was on my own, to be fair, and it was red hot, and I was just like down this 6-foot manhole on my own with radio and nobody in the house, and I just thought,
this ain't for me.
It's not for me, this. It's not for me, this. You know what I mean? So I think that were it then. And to be fair, I'd met a girl at that time as well, and she was training to be a teacher. And she said to me, you need to go back into education and get your grades and stuff like that. She was from a family who were pushing education. And to be honest, I took her advice. So I couldn't go to university initially because I didn't have enough UCAS points. So you have to have enough UCAS points to apply to go to university. And that's down on your grades. Okay, so actually, and at school I failed my maths, GCSE. So at college, if you fail your maths, you've got to do a resit. It's part of the government guidance type of thing. You've got to do it. So the first time I went to college, I didn't pass it again. I just took it for granted. I didn't do it. I couldn't be bothered.
Yeah.
A bit lazy in that respect. And then, so I decided to go back to college and ended up doing GCSE maths again. And I did an A level first year. So it's AS. It was called. So it's half an A level. I did that. Got my UCAS points that I needed to get, and then I went to Huddersfield University and studied sport and health studies.
Did you travel, or did you stop in Alta residence? Or
no? So at the time I were about, what had I been there? This were 2006, so I'd have been 20. So I were working at the time. So I were working at Next at that time. So nearly full time, trying to do a degree. You know what I mean? Play a bit of semi-professional football as well, and just trying to not get by, but like trying to earn money while also studying. So no, I lived at home and I travelled through.
were you at semi-pro? Which club were you at there?
So like I started semi-professional with Worsbrough. So obviously I manage the team now.
Full circle.
Full circle, yeah. And then at that age, I think as well, at 20-year-old, I'm still chasing the dream a little bit. Yeah. I think like I'm still like thinking, oh, I want to go as high as I can in football. I want to try and get up the ladder in non-league football. Can I chase a dream and pursue a career in maybe that? Because
it still can be doable, can't it? If you're talented enough, or if you get spotted, or I mean, I'm one of these. Whether I'm being naive, I don't know. I used to see a lot of non-league players and stuff, and you think, if they got to train every day, would they be able to make it?
Yeah.
And then you've got a lot of players now what's been let go by clubs. I mean, clubs in Premier League and stuff. So they must have had summer. And psychologically, when they said to them, you're not good enough for it, that does hit them really, really hard.
Definitely.
I mean, when it lads, I can remember from 80s and 90s, Bobo, Wayne Beaumont, he were at Barnsley.
Yeah.
And I think he was only about 18. I remember telling me a story. We're 18, and Mel Machin had just put him in team.
Yeah.
He played 3 games, and then they had to have all these cutbacks, and they came in and told him to let him go.
Yeah.
He says, I was just that gutted. He says, I sent a few letters off. He says, I went and trialled Torquay somewhere else, didn't get on.
Yeah.
He says, and that was it. Just went and got went and got a job, and he just played local football.
Yeah, there was a lad who I grew up with in Dodif. Used to watch school with him, knowing him really well, to be fair. He was in England set up, so he played in the same team as Jermaine Pennant. So in '98 World Cup, he went with England junior section and played in a tournament over there, and he got released by Barnsley at 16. And for him, that were it, more or less. He played a little bit when he was at Worsbrough and a bit on a Sunday league, but he just packed in an hour. I never could understand that, but I'd never been on the same side as him. You know what I mean? To be that close and to be playing at that level, it must have been like a bit destroying, because like you're playing for England at 16 and you must be thinking, well, I've got a decent chance here.
I know.
And then he's released and obviously falls out of the game, whereas like I'm still in the game in some respects. So maybe even though my mate had that experiences, he might have I don't know, I've not really spoke to him about it, but he probably maybe had a negative experience of football, whereas I don't know, like my upbringing and my experiences still makes me want to chase and be in love with it a bit, I think.
I mean, now there's a lot of people that's doing these teams. I mean, Beddy's doing one up at Barnsley, isn't it? Is it a development team?
Yeah.
So anybody that's been let go, they get to go and on trial, and then they take them as a proper squad and try and get best out of them and see whether they can get them back into the game.
Yeah.
And he started it as well, didn't he? Fashionable.
Yeah.
So he started doing it with African players and stuff, and bringing them over, and so there's a way back in.
Yeah.
If the mentality's right, but I think it's just that when they tell them, sorry, you're not good enough for here, and they've been told how good they are all the way through. Oh, you're brilliant, you're brilliant, you're brilliant, and then all of a sudden, no.
Yeah, crash.
For young'uns, that's hard to take into.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially when they've sacrificed all that much.
Yeah, there's been a few documentaries on it. I think there's No Hunger in Paradise is a good one to watch. It tells you a little bit of story about kids that have fallen out of the game, and the percentage of the probability of you making it at the top level is really, really low. It's less than 1%. So you know what I mean. So I think you've got to be a lucky as well.
And
there's
injuries then put into that as well, isn't there? You know what I mean? Getting a bad injury as well. So
definitely
that's a small percentage.
Yeah.
So where did you go from there then? So obviously you're playing semi-pro, and then you at university.
Yeah, so I graduated out of uni at 2009, and then moved into like this health community role where I came across yourself, didn't I, originally? So
was that one of your first jobs then with Fit Reds?
It was one of my first full-time jobs in respect of in the field of what I studied in my interests. So I came. Well, this is about 2009 now, so I'm thinking. So I was part of a health trainer project in the local community, which tried to get people back into health or etc. And
so this were a project that was started at Upton Park, West Ham. So they started it, didn't they? And
Hull was one of the first ones as well.
What it all?
Yeah, so Hull City was one of the first ones. So like for example, we got invited to different conferences and things like that. So we went along one day to this conference in Leeds, and Hull I think had just come up with this initiative, and we were thinking we can do that in Barnsley and put his own spin on it. So yeah, I were part of a 4 or 5 man team that come up with a project. Fit Reds, and it still goes now. You're still going now, and
I've just like I was telling you the other day, I went on the second course and I've just joined back.
Yeah,
I don't know. Well, they don't just have it at Barnsley; they have it in Altborough now. So they do Ireland and all over. But I've not kicked a ball in 4 years, so and I went the other day and I was walking like Tim Man. So, and I've got to go tomorrow as well. So
yeah.
That was it for me. I just wanted to change my body shape a bit, get rid of some timber. But like I go to the gym. But as you get older, it's harder to shift.
Yeah.
And you realise as you get older as well, if you've ever been into football, there's no better than
playing,
kicking a ball.
Yeah.
What I noticed the other day was we went inside, in Ash. In what they call
indoor centre. I think
indoor centre.
Yeah.
And so we'd done a few exercises and stuff, and they'd got balls out. And then every time a ball rolled past, you just have to start
do some kick-ups
or kicking it against the wall or something like. You can't let a ball go past without kicking it. If you've played football, you just can't do it, can you?
It's just that inner child, I think. I think it's just always there. Like now, for example, for me, put on a bit of weight during lockdown, and I thought I need to get back into it, sorted it and stuff like that, and then ended up playing a little bit of five-a-side on a Friday night myself, and it's just that inner kid. You can't explain it. Like it's if you've played the game and you love that game, there's no better feeling I think still than just whatever level you're playing at.
I know.
I played last year, so I ended up signing on for a local Sunday League side, and I played one game, only played one game. Because I was going out a bit too much and had a few drinks, and I couldn't make the Sunday, so I kept on. I let him down a couple of times, which I'm not best pleased with. Like a bit disappointing, really. Way what I do as a living as well, like a manager and stuff like that. So I understand players letting you down sometimes. But I played one game and scored winner, and peeled off like I was 36, and there's some kids there 21-year-old, and like they were like a World Cup final to me, but. Like just to score and stuff like that. I've not played for about 6 years as well, so it was mental really.
But this is the thing with me. Like I'd stopped playing in my 30s. I'd played local pub football.
Yeah.
And like highest thing that I got to, we played at Oakwell.
Yeah.
I played half a game when we played in final, and we lost. But to play at Oakwell was just best thing ever.
Yeah.
And then with Fit Reds, they arranged 2 games for us to play on Oakwell, and everybody's a fan.
Yeah.
And for them players, like all overweight, a bit overweight, and by the time we done course, we'd all dropped some weight and got a body shape better. For them to play on Oakwell, it was just absolutely fantastic. And obviously our squad too.
Yeah.
Screaming into Ponty End as well and a penalty. But I know we lost, but it was just fantastic. And where do you stand on? They've just started. They're playing one game.
Yeah.
Which is Darcy's Cup.
Yeah.
On Oakwell.
Yeah.
And they stopped playing finals, which I just think were criminal because there was some trouble when they weren't. I don't think it were any trouble. It was just somebody let flare off. Yeah,
let flare off. Yeah.
And I think it were an excuse for them to say, we don't want them there. But people's been asking, and I'm hoping this is going to be first steps for them to start playing them finals back. And probably ironic thing is that team got banned. I think they're playing
the final.
I think they are.
Really?
Is it Wunwell?
I don't know, to be honest, but
they tend to win Darcy's Cup a lot.
Yeah.
But,
I played on Oakwell 3 times with Sunday football.
In finals?
In finals, yeah. So
what were your record? How did you won?
1-2, lost 1.
Brilliant.
So one was supplementary cup final, which were like for them that got knocked out early stages. A cup, we won that one year with Treadle, and then I was part of a team that knew in. With Ladies, mentioned that before, and Garside, who plays for Rec now, and Jimmy, who was manager of Rec now, and stuff like that. We were part of a group of lads who, fortunate, we were doing really well and got to. I don't know, it might have been 5 finals. I've been on there. I can't remember, but
it's a great honour, isn't it?
It's
a great honour for local footballers.
It's brilliant.
I mean, and all other towns they do it, don't they?
Yeah.
So Sheffield, they'll play at Hillsborough.
Yeah, some of them play at New York Stadium at Rotherham quite a lot.
And Donny's Stadium.
Yeah.
But it's such an honour, and I just wish for lads who play at Minute, I wish they could allow them to play on there, because
I think that's another reason why Sunday football's dropped off in the town as well.
So, yeah.
Because when I always speak to people, and they used to say Barnsley had 10 Saturday leagues and on Sunday.
When I played, there were 9 Saturday leagues, and there was something like 12 or 13 Sunday leagues, and then Barnsley got to Premier League, and Saturday leagues dropped off. And never really picked back up.
Yeah.
But I think that what final nail in coffin when they said you can't play on Oakwell.
Yeah.
I don't know where they've been playing, but they're playing them at back.
Some of them, I think, some of the finals were played. I think Others Direct used to host a couple of finals, and I think last year one. I don't know if it were right. I think one of them were at Birdwell, local field and stuff like that. So it was just something to look forward to. I think everybody were like, we'll get to the final.
I mean, I used to go watch them. If I weren't playing, I'd go watch.
Yeah.
And you'd get all them who played, and you'd all go and you'd all be stood on terrace and all watching. So it's a shame.
Yeah,
it's such a shame. So I tell you, one of the people that were on course with you were Premier referee Darren England, wasn't he? So he started. I mean, is he the same age as you, Darren? Or
more or less.
So you're kind of that round about his first. I mean, he was linesman. He were a first division linesman, I think.
Yep.
At that time.
Yeah.
And then obviously he's gone on to retrain, because he were under what do they call referee? They were under with Bald Howard Webb.
Oh, Howard Webb. Sorry, Howard Webb. Yeah.
So he kind of got fast tracked with Howard Webb, but now he's in Premier League on a big salary.
Yeah, and to be funny, I did the referee course that he did at the same time.
Did you?
But I never pursued it. Never pursued it. Like I said,
But to be fair, he went as a linesman.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
and he were a good linesman.
Yeah.
and he could have had a career as part of the team as a linesman, but he wanted to be Manic Mill.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. I think he got to the FA Cup final as an linesman, and then decided that he wanted to be a referee, and he's now, credit to him.
Do you know something back then? I wanted to have a bet that he'd referee World Cup final.
Did you?
I wonder what odds that I got.
Yeah,
because I think he
still
might be
happen.
on cards. Yeah, I think he might do it.
Yeah.
But I mean, Howard Webb's done it, and he's teaching him. So
is it Michael Oliver as well? Michael Oliver, he's our top English ref at the moment. I think did he have a Champions League final or something recently? I don't know, but to be honest, I kind of hope. Not that I'm saying I hope Daz don't get it, because if Daz does get it, it means that we've not got to World Cup final.
Oh, right,
so he's never going to be able to ref. You know what I mean? So I'd love to see us in a World Cup final.
I know.
So, but I'd love to see him do it as well.
Yeah,
it'd be good for him.
Brilliant.
But yeah, that Fit Red course where, to be fair, that was the start of me moving to where I am now. Really, I think, like you said, I was part of that course, that program, and
You won an award, didn't you? Because you all went to...
yeah.
Which, I mean, how many other thingies were up against for that award?
We went to an NHS awards evening, and it were like loads of, like, I don't know, different organisations. You can imagine what it's like. It was full of doctors.
I saw pictures. You all look
doctors and medics and stuff like that. And then it were at Cedar Court, I think, and we're on this back table, these raggy lads from Barnsley, we're out at way, and I'm thinking, we're not going to win anything, so they just took us in that corner.
Yeah.
So we're just drinking, having a laugh. We're going to go around Leeds after, and like, I don't know, I might be 5 or 6 pints deep, and you remember Greeny.
Yeah, I was going to say that you were Greeny.
Yeah. And then they shouted us all up, and they were like, oh my God, we were like all on his way, but it was a brilliant night. I remember now, we went to Leeds after, and I remember we stood in this nightclub, and we had all his ties on and stuff like that, and this Monster Munch came flying past me, and they were like coming out to this fountain, like, and I like being hit by Monster Munch and stuff like that. They were crazy, but it's like weird how some of that stuff you just remember. But yeah, that was a good night. But from that Fit Reds award as well, I think somebody put me forward for what are you? I don't know if it was you, Sam, or not. It might have been you.
Yeah, I think it was.
To do my PT course.
Yeah.
And I ended up doing my personal training as well, and my gym instructor course. I did my gym instructor before my PT. And that's the thing with myself, like, I always try and say that I don't want to be a fraud, because like you can go out there and you can give people bits of knowledge and expertise and pass on your experience and stuff like that. But if I don't feel comfortable, then it don't sit right with me. So I've always been like that. Like, we went on the health trainer course. I've come at the health trainer job. So I've come out of that, got into that job with my degree, and we started doing gym instructor stuff. I've been in gym myself, and etc., etc. And one person had the gym instructor, and I think somebody else might have had the PT. And I was like, well, if I'm involved in this program, I want to make sure that everybody gets a good experience of it. So I want to make myself better so that people get that knowledge as well. So I went and did that. And obviously I was coaching the football team, the Fit Reds team as well. So
did you pay for this off your own back, or were it funded?
So the gym instructor, I think I paid for it myself originally, and the PT when I was...
So you invested in yourself, yeah.
Yeah, won a competition to get that. And then during my time a little bit as well, I was doing some voluntary stuff at the football club as an academy coach as well during that time, I think. So I had my level 1 at the time.
What manager?
I tell you what managers when I were at at Barnsley, it was Simon Brooks and Moffat were the two that I worked with, and Hecky were actually in the Paul Heckingbottom were the age up, so I got opportunity to work with him a little bit. But like, I hated coaching. I couldn't stand it.
What, you hated coaching players?
I hated it, yeah. I just couldn't stand it. When I got into it like about 25, 24, around about that age. I couldn't stand it.
What was it you didn't like about it?
I just
you could put your finger on.
You know what? Like, we sit here now, and I don't know. You sit here now, and I do my teaching stuff now, and that etc. And I manage a football club. I was never confident. I didn't like standing in front of people and talking and stuff like that. And I think, I don't know, just over like to do a presentation and that. I couldn't do I hated doing presentations.
Yeah.
I did standing up in front of people. And like, now I do it for a living. It's just like,
but I can remember, like, so back with Fit Reds, you did seem quiet.
Yeah.
Softly spoken.
Yeah.
And quiet.
Yeah.
But you did seem confident.
Yeah.
Whatever you said.
Yeah.
You were confident in it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So you didn't have to be shouting and bawling.
Yeah.
Because people listened,
and
and these that way, if people do speak quietly,
yeah,
people listen. Apparently Nelson Mandela were like that. So
I'm gonna need to send me this clip, because at work they always, I get a bit of a ribbon about it, say you talk too quiet, softly spoken and stuff like that, and I always said that to me. I always say, well, you know, when I do speak up, people will take more notice.
That's it.
I believe in that massively, and that's the way I like to coach and teach as well. I think if you're always loud and bullish and type of thing, and your message can go.
Listen, everybody's different.
Yeah.
Everybody does things differently, and like I said, if you are following someone being loud and that's not your forte, then it's not going to be you. You're not going to be real. So yeah, just stay as you are, mate.
I can.
Stay as you are.
No, I appreciate it. I can be loud. I can, like, I've obviously been a manager in that. I've had a few choice
Throwing a
words
few
and stuff.
teacups.
I said, like, we went to last year, so obviously I've moved into non-management as well, but I said, like, we went to Selby away last year, and
This is with Worsbrough, isn't it?
yeah, with
so
Worsbrough. So we went there last year, we got a bit of a tonking, and I walked into the changing room and I said a few things that I weren't happy with, and said a few players, a few things which I weren't happy with at the time. I went through a bit of a difficult period at that time. And
out of character.
yeah, and I walked out the changing room, and I thought, I'm not proud of that.
Yeah.
So I walked back in there and apologised to all players. I went, that's not me. That I won't. You know what I mean? So I pulled my hand up and say, your performance were poor, but I can take responsibility for my decisions and what I've come out with there, and that's wrong. So I'm sorry about that. But I thought that had to be done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I walked back in there, and to be honest, I've been part of changing rooms as well, where you've been scolded and had a go at it, and I've been, as a player, and you think, you're not like, you don't fall out with the manager, but I always think, does that relationship, is it the same? You know what I mean? Do you lose a little bit of respect and stuff like that? I don't know. So I walked back in there and I thought, I don't think I'd have liked that. So I went in there and apologised to players, and whether that was the right thing or not to do, I don't know. But
Can't imagine Pep being a teacup thrower.
No.
Or a ranter.
I don't think he is, but I think there's a time like
Klopp maybe,
yeah.
not Pep.
I think there's a time where you do, like, you do lose it. I think every manager will lose it at some time.
Yeah.
So.
Listen, it's your job that's online.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
know what I mean. If you get into that thing, and obviously, if there's other stuff, other factors that's in your life, none of us are going to be on one level all the time.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you
exactly.
are. Nobody knows what's going on in
Yeah.
others' personal lives. So we got to PSS now, wasn't it? So
Yeah.
You've gone from Fit Reds to PSS.
Yeah, so like
What's that stand for?
I can't even remember, to be honest. It were a charity organisation in Liverpool.
Yeah.
They got a contract in Barnsley for the health trainer stuff.
I think Almo's Mrs. Ellen. I think she worked for him. I think she was doing something to do with food and that, like. But it were all to do with grants, wasn't it? So Fit Reds couldn't get any funding, and they nearly went under.
Yeah.
I don't know how they ended up surviving, but
I think British Art Foundation gave them some money.
Right.
Originally, and then I don't know how it sustains now. I don't know where the money comes from, but obviously it's a charity organisation, so they have to get funding. But from that, I ended up leaving. I went to Leeds College of Building. So I went into another sport development role from that, which we're trying to get students aged 16 to 19 more involved in sport. And again, physical activity, health. So it was a construction college. That were challenging. I always remember that because you were a construction college, like I said, and most of the lads would be apprentices or they'd be coming into college, and you'd be like, do you want to get involved in this and want to play for the college football team? And some of them would, and that. And obviously now I'm in a sports college where like most of them have got interest, so it was a little bit more difficult. I was only there for, what were it now? 6 months tops, I think. I was at this stage, I'd done like my level 2 coaching, my gym instructor, etc. And I'd always had an interest to go abroad. I always used to say, I want to go to America. And then my mate went to Australia in January that year for New Year's Eve, and I thought, oh, that was class, that. I won't mind doing that. And I just got fed up at that stage. I'd had enough, and I just thought, I was 28. I got a bit of pressure on me. So my sister were getting married, I think, and then I was still living at home, and I was getting a bit of pressure on me, and I thought, stuff it. I didn't want to settle down, me, at that time. So I just went, I'm going to go to Australia. And I remember my mum saying, I sat on the sofa, she went, oh, shut up, Luke, you always said this, you always said, I said, well, I booked it. And she was like, shut up. And I went, oh yeah, I booked it. And I just booked it, and I went to Gold Coast in Australia.
Brilliant, yeah.
Amazing. Best place I've ever been in my life.
Yeah.
And probably best 7 months I've had in my life, apart from obviously my kids, like, but
did you just fly over there, or did you go over there and have a job to go to?
I'd lined a job up before I went, so I looked into it, seen any coaching companies out there, and I went out there and just working out there. And obviously they had a football team as well at the time, and the season had already started. They wanted me to go out earlier, but I couldn't go out earlier because I had to work my notice. So I finished the season in England with Worsbrough, and then I went over to Australia in April. Did some coaching. And then I think, like I said, I won't mind playing, and ended up playing first game, and when I can always remember this Aussie lad came up to me and says, "You best be good, you, because one of the lads has left because of you." And I went, "All right." And then like the ball came to me, and I just like whipped it round corner first time and put somebody in, and they scored. And then this lad came up and said, "You're not bad, are you?" And I like straight away settled in like that. But it were brilliant. Like, and to be fair, we had a really good season. We ended up winning 3 trophies, like treble in Australia. It was just like the third tier of Australian football.
So were it professional or semi-pro?
Semi-professional again. It were really good. And I've been out there coaching, etc. And
it's just lifestyle and everything, innit? It's just everything. Like,
it were amazing.
Barbecues outside, nice weather, and all outdoor sports.
Yeah,
it's just geared up for everything, innit?
It's like, if it were, you know what I mean, if it were Spain or something like that, 2 hours away, I'd be living there now. You know what I mean? It's just so it's off because it's obviously so far away. But I think people get sick of me talking about it because I love it. I used to say, like, you know, when I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here comes on. Obviously, that's the location was around where I used to live. So Byron Bay and all that area. And I used to say to kids, like, "Oh, I've been there, like," and they go, "Oh, he's here again," telling him, like, you know what I mean? But it were brilliant. Like, and I said, I think I came home I'd agreed to stay. So the season come to an end, and it was coming to November, and I was going to come home for Christmas in the December, and some circumstances changed over there, the business, etc. And I agreed a wage, and then unfortunately they couldn't agree to the terms, and I just thought, I'm going to come home a bit earlier, and I wanted to do my UEFA B at that time. So I just came home and ended up doing my B licence. Ended up going to work for Sheffield United. So again, I mentioned Leahy again, but Leahy, he actually helped me get in there at the time. He were working there, so I'm thankful for him for doing that for me, because he actually opened the door a little bit for me to get into the club. So I went there and did some coaching and got my B licence and did this other qualification as well at the same time. And from there, I think
just explain to me why it's called a licence and why it's not called just a qualification. And when listen, I don't know enough about it and then that, but when you hear these ex-players and I'm going to do me so and so, me B, and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. What sort of environment are you in? Do you just go into a classroom, just like what's up at Oakwell, and then you just do learning? Yeah. Or are you out on a pitch? Are they showing you drills? And so it's a bit of both. Do you have to memorise them? And when you do your exam, do you have to draw these drills? And
So basically, what happened was, I was on the old. So the course has changed a little bit now. So you had to do level 1, level 2, and level 3, which is UEFA B. And then there was they brought out another course structure for the youth game. So it was like youth module 1, 2, and 3, and I had to do them 6 different qualifications all individually. Whereas now they've kind of blended them all together into one. So, like, for example, the FA Youth Module 1 would be a part of level 1. So they blended them all together, but I did all 6 separate. And basically it were, you'd go in a classroom, an FA tutor to come along, obviously teach you what they need to teach you. You go out there, they do some practices, show you examples of the theory and practice type of thing. So, what, for example, the youth.
Is it to do with rules? Is it to
no,
do with football
not really.
Rules?
No.
Do you not do out on rules then?
Not really. No. So like it was more like the youth module 1. I remember it as, because I've done it a while back now. Was all about developing the environment, creating a nice learning environment for children to enjoy football. So how you do that through your coaching styles, how you set sessions up,
right,
how you make them fun for kids. And then another one would be like developing the player. So you got a bit of understanding around psychology, so how the brain works, how the human body works, etc. Bit about we talk about 4-corner model in sport development, football development. We talk about how you've got to develop the player as technically, tactically, physically, and socially. So we talk. You get introduced to that topic as well, and then developing the practice as well. So there'd be like, for example, 3 different practices or something like that. So if I remember rightly, constant, variable, and random. And they talk about the trade-off from that. So if you were doing a constant drill, so we were working on passing, we're just working on passing and passing and passing. All we become good at is passing the ball. but there's no understanding about why you're passing it there, because there's no opposition in it and stuff like that. So there's no decisions to make and that. So so another practice would be variable. So you'd like add opposition in there, and then random would be like the game. So there's benefits of what practice you deliver. So as a coach, you need to understand like when you should use this practice and when you would use that constant practice, etc. So that was a little bit about that. And then UEFA B were more about how you build your practice, but more around adult football. So like 11v11, 9v9. So for example, my topic or my session was coach a team when to play quick and when not to play quick. So
that winds me up with Barnsley.
Yeah.
Just last year and this year, just passing it back and back and back, getting downfield to their box, and then coming all the way back. Or going across field, and I get it's possession, but they're not getting forward. And then any teams that they played, they're like Wickham, so straight down, crossed it in, and then you know what I mean, and give them a chance. And they scored 3 goals. And it's like so frustrating watching Barnsley passing it back and thinking. And Man U were playing like that last year. Exactly like that, and it was just awful. Well, for the last 4 years they've played like that, and it's just been awful to watch. Frustrating, because Man U's team should be down wings, and I get about possession. So that's just my rant.
There's a trade off, and that's something as a manager, like even at the level I play with, like I wrestle with, because like I want control in the game of football. So for example, if you're turning the ball over all the time, you lose a bit of control, you know what I mean, because the opposition are dictating to you a little bit. So there's an argument about, if you obviously look after the ball, you'll keep possession of it, you're in control, you're managing the tempo.
But you need your players to be like Man City, where they don't lose
the ball, and wear them down.
Because you'll see that they'll pass, and they'll all be good, and then there's going to be one player that loses it, and then you've turned over again.
So like I've kind of adapted my coaching philosophy a little bit over the years, really. So through Sheffield United, working with them as well, and then from working at Sheffield United, I ended up setting up obviously my own business. So 4G1, I came back from Australia and thought I could do this in England. So I came into Barnsley and at the time, and I was working for Sheffield United, and I set up this business.
Is this 3 to 12
So
years?
I set it up as it was 3 to 11 originally. So I originally called it a gimmicky name. So it was Barnsley Football Academy with the colours of Barcelona. And not many people know this, but I got a letter from Barcelona.
Did you?
Yeah.
What, like?
Said it were too close to their name.
Right.
So I got it. I've still got it on saved at home, and it's like, so I had to change the name. So I've changed the name, and obviously 4G1 come from my surname and that. And originally there weren't many people doing that at the time. So that I developed that. We've had about 15 kids who's come through the academy and signed for professional academies with different age groups. But I don't really judge it on that, you know. For me, it's about, I want to give the kids the benefit, like the experiences that I've got from football.
Yeah.
Like, for me, for example, if I hadn't started playing football, or my dad never took me to play football, then I wouldn't be sat where I am now in this chair with you, really. And I wouldn't have been to Australia. I wouldn't have done work for Sheffield United. And some of these experiences, some of my best mates I played football with. So all through kicking a football, like you said, when the ball goes past you, it's true. Like, it's that little blooming round object can change your life, I think, in so many different ways. So it has for me, definitely.
You seem to have always, while ever you've been learning, you always seem to have had like sort of 2 jobs or 3 jobs on go. Even though there might not be like jobs where you have to go and be there for so many hours, you've always got these other projects on. So it just shows that you're an hard worker. You've got a good work ethic. But one of the things I want to ask you is to do it these badges. How many badges is there? How far can you go?
So there's A licence, which comes after that. So I'm in the process of applying for that again. So I've got to submit my application for that this week. So so that's level 4, and then I think it's your pro licence like that. So A licence.
What sort of cost are there? Yeah, because I think that
A licence is.
I think a lot of clubs will put players through it, don't they? That is when they think. But if you've got to pay for it yourself, it's.
think A license is 5k now. I think B license maybe around about £1,000 now. I'm not 100% sure, but
Is there one above A license?
yeah, pro license.
Pro.
So A license you can
Ecky's got pro, hasn't he?
yeah. So you have to have the pro license to manage in the pro game. So for example, the Celtic manager, he's got his A license. So when he came to get his job and manage Celtic,
He didn't have it though. Neil Lennon, I'm sure he didn't.
no, Gareth Southgate didn't have his pro license when he was manager in Middlesbrough,
Yeah.
and they were a bit. You can't get a job in the pro game without having that. So I think he had to go through it. But so yeah, I did my B license about 6 years ago, and I've been trying to get on my A license for years, and I just simply can't get on it because a lot of times you've got to be involved in an academy game, and I did work for the academy, but with my obviously commitments and my family and stuff like that, I decided to take a step out of the academy, and then obviously do my own business. And during this time as well, I started to get the job at the college. All right, so I became a bit heavily involved in that type of thing. So I just made that decision to move away from that.
Did you start running Barnsley College team?
Yeah,
Because Barnsley College has always done all right. They've always had a good team. From what I've read, kept up with them and chronicling like over years. Yeah, they've always had a good team. And I think, has any players from college gone at Barnsley?
Yeah, so like for example, we've got obviously in recent times, Mark Roberts were at Barnsley College. He obviously
captain
moved
of Barnsley and got his big move to Birmingham. Yeah,
so I think he went through the non-league stage and then did that. And then we've had Jordan Barnett as well, who recently he went to Yeovil, I think. Last year we had Lucy Watson, who was with us. She's gone to just signed for Chelsea. I think she's picked up a bad injury recently actually, but she's been through us. And I think Amy Turner was another one who's made it in the women's game as well. So. And Beth England, obviously. Yeah. So they've had some good players come out of Barnsley, but also we're only part of the project. You know what I mean? We can't just lay claim to them, but we've had them for 2 years or something like that, and they are quite fortunate. For example, so I head up the sports academy in regards to managing performance and coordinating things, and head of football. So, for example, I was coaching today. So they'll get coached today for about nearly 2 hours with. Same tomorrow. Wednesday I'll have a game. Thursday have a recovery session, and Friday sometimes we'll have a session, sometimes we don't, and then they'll play for the clubs outside of here. So it is more or less being full-time professional in that respect. They get S&C, they get
But how much of your
massage.
time does Worsbrough take up then? Because I imagine that eats into your time a lot. Because you'll have a training session through a week, or did you have two?
We do one session a week. So like you said about my work ethic, so my typical week is a full-time job at college, and then Tuesday or Wednesday night I might be at with Worsbrough, depending if we have a fixture. My business is on a Tuesday night, so somebody does that for me now as well. Thursday night I have so for example we have Thursday night I'll have 4G1 14 to 16s. I coach them. And then after having an hour and a half with the boys or the girls at college, so I'll go straight into that. I then have an hour's break, and then I'll do Worsbrough first team training on Thursday night. So last week I got home at 9:30 on Thursday after work. Friday, so I do 2 hours coaching again on Friday for 4G1. Then I ask people, I'm quite fortunate, some people want me to coach the kids one-to-ones on Saturday mornings. I've not done them recently, just because I need time out. And then Saturday afternoon there'll be a game for Worsbrough, so probably...
And that kind of goes into evening as well.
Yeah, so we'll finish at 5 o'clock, and obviously if it's an away game, travel home. So yeah, it's a big on commitment, but it's what I want to do, and for me, that's me. Probably a lot of when I did my masters, didn't I, not so long ago. So I did a masters 2 years ago, part of 2 years. So I did it in football coaching and performance, and I spoke to some managers on my dissertation. So my dissertation at end of my project was to interview 10 managers around what they perceived as successful characteristics for a non-league manager. And one of the reasons I did that was because I want to be successful myself. And they came up with these characteristics, which they said, obviously I interviewed them, some key factors, key points came out, and I basically put them together with these 10 key characteristics. And one of them things that they said to me were about it's a tough gig. It's 24/7 at 24/7.
So if you got 10 interviews and you did it as a dissertation,
yeah,
can you not turn that into a book?
possibly.
I think that's what you should be doing.
Yeah,
You know how to do it, don't you?
yeah,
So you get there's an app called Otter.
right.
So that'll read your book and put it into that'll read your writing and put it into like a book form,
Okay.
and then you just edit it, so
right.
you don't have to write it all out again.
Okay.
So that'd be the best thing, I think.
Yeah.
Think of
Might be worthwhile getting to go. I was something we discussed with somebody else before, like about putting a book together, and
but for me, you've got one already there. So if
but I never, you know, like when people say that to me, I think, why would somebody want to know what Luke Forgione says? Like that's the way I see it. Like, but I suppose there is somebody out there who might be interested in it.
It's not that. It's you've done some research.
Yeah.
So you've researched. You've been out and interviewed these players. So these managers. So you can go like, you know, this is what these managers say about becoming a successful. This could be your how-to book, you know, to get into non-league management. So
I did that, and obviously I come up with these things, all these key characteristics, and then my team's lost 7 out of 8 games this year.
Yeah, but on a positive note, when you took over last year, you had a great run.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
And you were pushing for promotion, weren't you?
Yeah.
And I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah.
I thought you've done really well. So, can you put your finger on how that's changed? I mean, have some players left?
For me, like I said, I've got quite a lot of interest in psychology. So I think this has come like back to what I said before. That point I said about not being a fraud. Not like it's just that my personality is that if I want to know the more knowledge. I've got a thirst for learning. I want to be the best I can be. I want to understand what makes you tick, etc. So I like to look into stuff in depth. Like I'm probably a deep thinker and overthinker. Somebody said that to me before, but it's a strength, but also a weakness in some respects. But so psychology. I think for me, we've got a young side, and I talk about developing resilience. And the only way you can develop resilience is by putting people through pressure and experience. So my team at the moment, they're under pressure, but they don't have that experience to draw back on because a lot of them are young.
Like Barnsley.
So like if you haven't got that, how do you get that?
Yeah.
So you have to try and find people who's got that to bring them in to help you out, which we're trying to do as a club. But then it comes down to money as well, like budgets and stuff like that. Like I ain't got a massive budget, so we can't just go and spend X amount of money because we don't have that money. So like sometimes you've just got to work with them players, and it becomes tiring. It's tiring, mentally tiring, because like you feel like they're saying the same things, but just keep chipping away. And I think hopefully things will change and turn for us. And I think, like for example, this were a team that finished 9th last year. Don't become a bad team overnight. It's just I think it's
Barnsley were in playoffs.
Yeah.
And they ended up getting relegated.
I know. That's like a bit of, it is a worry for me in that respect, because like
I'd have thought you being into psychology and stuff.
Yeah.
I'd have thought you'd have been looking at that and going, just talking to people there, like trying to figure out what happened. I mean, for me, I look at it and I go, I think they didn't play in front. They were all young. They'd not played in front of big crowds. I think that were a big factor.
Yeah.
Once crowds came, there was more pressure on them.
Yeah.
And obviously then they were an experience thing, and then obviously they got rid of some players.
Yeah, they talk about obviously you're a United fan, I'm a United fan, and you look at United through pandemic when there were no fans in ground.
Yeah.
United were class.
Yeah.
They ended up finishing second, I think.
I don't think they lost in a away match, did they?
Unbelievable. And then they got back into, fans got back in, and they were just like shadow of their former selves a little bit. But for me, it's psychology. It's just like I look into it. So like I looked at confidence, you know what I mean? I look at resilience. I look at loads of different things. Like there's something like about human motivation and how you can implement certain things to try and motivate people. Like for me, non-league management is so difficult because it's a 24/7 job, but we've all got other jobs. And you're still trying to get the best out of every individual, but every individual, like, how do I do that? Because I'm at work, they're at work, I come home, If I were in a relationship, I'd be sat on the sofa texting or speaking to players and stuff like that. You know what I mean? If it's a full-time job, they'd come into the office and we'd be sat in the office having these chats. But because we're semi-professional, I have to ring them. So like yesterday, I rung 5 or 6 players, and I was just talking to them and saying, "What do you reckon? What do you think to this season?" And trying to get into bottom it, because, like I said, I want us to do well, and I don't think people see that.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't see that. The people they'll just go and see the results.
Yeah.
And they might think, "Oh, we don't care," or you know what I mean, or they need to do this more. They don't know. Then the people are always willing to give you their opinion, and I'm open to people giving opinions and sharing their thoughts. I'm more than open to that. But I've had quite a few of it recently. A lot of people are sharing opinions with me and that, and I think that's what happens when you lose games of football. But those opinions weren't around last year when we were doing well. And that's just football, isn't it? But like I said, it's not me. I don't think I still don't know everything. You know what I mean? I'm still young, I suppose, in management terms. I've had one full season at Worsbrough last year. We had a COVID-affected season the year before. So I think all in all, I've probably managed Worsbrough for around about 50 odd games.
Does it still get affected with flooding?
Yeah, it got flooded last year.
That's what I thought. Last year,
Yeah.
you had a few games where you couldn't play.
Yeah.
I'm sure you did. And then is it at the beginning of the season you can't play because it's cricket?
Yeah. So like this year's been absolutely mental as well. So like, for example, we look into it. If you look into it in more depth, and I don't know if people look at it like this, and it might sound like excuses, but we've played. I think we've played. 7 league games, I think it was, and 5 of them have been away from home.
Right.
And season started in July, and we had 3 Saturdays in August we had a game.
Yeah.
And we did play again last Saturday, and it's like we're like
It's intermittent, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like hit and miss.
We can't
get a run going.
Yeah. That's what we're trying to do, and try and get a rhythm. And then we've got Rec on Wednesday, local derby again. We played them recently. They beat us as well. So
Were it a record crowd or something?
yeah, there was 300 and something there last week.
Yeah, I read. Yeah,
Yeah,
a big
so
crowd.
hopefully there'll be a decent turnout again on Wednesday night. But yeah, it's just like I keep saying to the boys.
Not your biggest crowd though, are it?
No.
You're on about having a match with them over there.
Yeah, so at Blythe Spartans it was.
That's it. Yeah.
Yes.
Was that an FA Cup match?
Yeah, I think so. So like, obviously it's club centenary next year. And I will looking forward to try and be the manager in the club centenary, but if things don't pick up, I might not be. So, but yeah, so there's Blythe Spartans. I think Danny Wilson's coming down in a few weeks to present this type of plaque thing to commemorate the anniversary for the club and stuff like that. And obviously, Worsbrough Bridge was one of the oldest clubs and one of the founders of the league, but also has had players like Mick McCarthy at the club and Mick Wadsworth, and obviously then people have been at Barnsley as well. So it does have that link with the football club, and obviously we play in Redden as well, don't we? So so I'm quite fortunate in that respect.
Have you had any interviews with what they call him, Mad Dog Allen? What's his name? Thingy Allen.
I don't know.
He's always managed lower league clubs and stuff. What's his first name? Martin Allen.
No, I've not met him. No.
You're going about psychology.
Yeah.
That's what he does. He'll like. I read an interview where he had him running around. They'd lost.
Yeah.
And there were all these bramble bushes with thorns in.
Yeah.
And he says, right, so I want you all to follow me. Come on, get running. And he dove into all brambles and that.
Yeah.
And he says, come on, we've got to get through here. And all players had to get through these brambles. And they just got ripped to shreds. And he's saying, this is what I want you to do. I want you to run through that other team like you've just run through that. Or he used to just dive in a river. I think he dove in Trent.
Right.
You know what I mean? With like currents and everything.
Yeah.
To swim to the other side. So you have to jump in that dike at side.
I can understand it in some respects. Like I wouldn't say I'm crazy or stuff like that, but I won't do stuff like that. But there were a thing last week where about Ten Hag, weren't there, when United lost Brentford, and they were down on the 11 kilometres or something in comparison to Brentford. So he made them all come in the day after.
They've been down. That's one of the things they've been on about. Keane, on about the running, and Neville saying they're just not running enough.
Well, they made him come in on the day off, and I always think like, how's that going to be received with players? they're going to come in pissed off because it's a day off. But what he did you hear what he did? He ran with them all.
All right.
He did the distance, so like 50. He's a 55-year-old man. I think he did 11k with them all.
Yeah.
And like they said, he struggled with it because he's 55. But all players automatically got respect to players because he did it. He joined in with them. And they talk about that you should never ask somebody to do something that you weren't willing to do yourself. And as a leader, and like that's what I try to demonstrate. I don't try to do stuff that I would never ask the players to do myself. So, for example, like if they ask them to do a run, I'd do the run. I'd do it. I've not done it with them, but if I would never ask them to do something that I won't be willing to do myself, and I think that's really important as well.
I'm
as a
trying to
leader.
think, because I listened to a few interviews on podcasts for different managers and stuff, and there was a player on other week, and he went on about someone wants me to say Terry Butcher. Did Terry Butcher manage? Not Terry Butcher. What Leicester manager? The school teacher.
No,
Pearson. Not
Shakespeare.
Pearson.
It might be Nigel Pearson. I don't know if he was a school. Yeah, I think he might have been a school teacher.
No, he weren't Rangers manager, was he? I'm just trying to think which one it was. And he used to have long hair.
Okay.
And they were saying he had long hair and had been on a terrible run. He says, and we were playing Celtic. He says at Celtic. He says, and all players came there. He says, and we're all sat round. He says, and he'd not got on bus with him.
Yep.
To go to ground.
Yep. And
they're all like, where's he gone? Where's he gone? He says, and it was about 15 minutes to go before kick-off. And he came in, and he'd shaved all his hair. He says he'd shaved all his hair off. He says, and he came in, he says, and all players were sat down. He says, do you want to know why I've done this? Because I'm a commando. He says, and we're going to get in here. We're gonna win at them. He says, and then we're going to get straight out of here. Yeah. He says, and they lost about 4-0. He says, but he says they all got their heads down. He says you could see them all laughing and that because he didn't last much longer after that.
It's a fine balance, like, you know what I mean? Like, you've obviously I go in and
what are these managers that you've had? You know what I mean? What you know? Were there any them that used to scream at you and getting you up against the wall?
Not really,
No.
not really. Obviously, I played under Craig Elliott, who were at Boston United.
Yeah, I
had him a little bit at Glasshoughton and that, and he went on to do really well. But
because you did a bit with Acroforce, didn't you?
As I was coaching for them as well at the time. But obviously, Craig went on to do really well with them as well. But not really, not really. I think games changed. I still think there's time that people will scream and shout and kick off and that, but like we've said before about being softly spoken, and if you're screaming and shouting all the time, I don't know how much clout that carries me. Yeah. And like I said,
especially with young kids who's come through now, because they haven't really come through a culture where players have get them in what they call them initiation ceremonies and all that, and Oldens and stuff, and acting about, but they've come through as professional and been taught to be professional and been told how good they are. So somebody come in and screaming.
It's hard. It's hard, and I've said it to lads at our changing room before. I said, I don't think they understand sometimes. I think they do, but like I say, it's a safe place really. Our changing room sometimes, like compared to when I were brought up and that, like you'd be dug out. Your players would dig you out in the change room, and they wouldn't be afraid to tell you and stuff like that. Our change room's quite young, so. I think there's still, you need that though. I still think you need to be held accountable.
That's what Barnsley's fetched thingy in for him, that striker, and you can tell he looks life and soul. When I was watching him the other day when he scored that header after the match at Hillsborough, you could see he was like, he's one that's running up to everybody, and you know what I mean. Even with manager, you could tell he's gobby.
Bit of a leader.
That might be what Barnsley has been missing.
Yeah, I think I'm massive on culture, like in the changing room, and even in the classroom that I work with now. Like today was my first day at teaching, so like I've just started doing my PGC qualification, starting that, and like that which allowed me to teach. So that's again like I'm always trying to.
Did you watch that on? Is it Salford?
Yeah.
that series.
Class of 92.
Yeah.
Any documentary, any sports documentaries, I bet you I tell you watched them.
But them two brothers, not brothers, them two, they weren't brothers.
Yeah, I know
them,
what you mean.
Them two managers.
Yeah.
One was just screaming all the time. What they call it?
They were in non-league, Ramsbottom United and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, Thingy told me a story. I think it was Strats. Told me a story. He says Doug's were running a team, and something happened on sideline. Doug just knocked him out.
Really?
Just knocked him out, spark out, because he'd been gobbing at him.
Yeah, but like, I follow him on LinkedIn, you know, them two, and they say like they're obviously done something right because they've been successful. But they said they weren't happy with how that documentary portrayed them, because they said they portrayed them as a bit more villains and stuff like that. Yeah. And they've got a bit more about them than that.
That's how they edit stuff, though. If they're wanting a bit like media are wanting
controversy
to have good and bad, and they'll edit it like that, because there'll always be clips where they've been stressed up.
Yeah.
And there'll always be clips where they've done well. Yeah. And obviously they've not put them in.
Well, like, if you ask how I manage, I don't know what players would say, but I got a message off somebody the other day, and he says, he goes, I need to speak to you. And I was like, oh, right, what's this about? He says, you're not yourself. And I went, oh, what do you mean? He says, the way you're acting on sidelines and how you're conducting yourself at the moment isn't you. He says, it just isn't you. And I thought, just made me think about that, because I always thought, how you see yourself, how I want to be as a manager, and the feedback that I got, I thought, yeah, that's not me. Maybe that's not me, and that's maybe another reason why we're not being successful. Maybe my behaviour on the sideline is not as good as it should be, or it has been previously. But I think that's just pressure as well.
But also, you've got to think, like, sort of, obviously, you in your head, you might be thinking that way is not working. Yeah. But subconsciously, not on a purpose. Subconsciously, you might be trying a different approach, maybe being a bit louder to get results, because obviously you started off season being you walked season before and it's not working. So I'm not saying it's on a purpose.
No, it is. It's like I'm quite, like I said, I deep think, but I do think about stuff. Quite, I don't know. Some managers are maybe spontaneous and they're just instant, like. But when I go into a changing room or team talk, I've planned it in my head most of the time, how I want to go into there. And like we had a bit of a laugh last week, because have you seen Arteta at Arsenal, All or Nothing? Have you watched that on Amazon Prime?
Oh no.
Have you not watched it?
No.
And like, he gets them all in change room and he says, like, I want you to rub your hands, like this, rubbing your hands. And you were just talking about what's his name, Mad
Alan.
Dog.
Yeah.
He says, I want you to feel that. He says, what are you on about? Like, all lads are like, all pros and that. You feel that energy, that warmth. I want you to play with that energy and feel warmth and be together as a team. And like, and there's another one when he walks around with a light bulb, and I'm like thinking, Jesus Christ, this isn't Premier League, this. And then they walk back in change room and they won, and all players are just going like this to him, and it's just like, it's brilliant. But like psychology and stuff like that. But then it gets light bulb out and they lose, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. But it's all right if you're winning. But if you're losing...
Is this from a couple of seasons ago?
Last season, this.
Oh, this last season?
Yeah, so like, obviously they were in access to all changing rooms and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I like watching them ones, me.
They're saying they should change it to haven't won nothing. Like that,
I think they'll be all right this year, though. I think they're decent, aren't they?
I think we spoiled this year at Premier League. We've got 5, 6, maybe 7 teams that are really good, and they're good to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, Brighton.
That might change now, though.
Man U's coming good.
Yeah.
Liverpool, still good to watch.
Yeah.
Tottenham.
City. Chelsea will come back, maybe.
I just think this season, teams that we've got and players that they've got in Premier League, I think that it's just best ever. I think it's one at best ever, and you can see with football, it's just a pleasure to watch it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, I think we're gonna wrap this up, because
no problem.
I'm looking at time, and we're knocking on a bit. We can always do a part 2 at some point.
Yeah, no problem.
So, how can anybody get in touch with you if they want to get in touch with you, Luke?
Yeah, so if it's anything to do with 4G1, they can obviously find me on Facebook as well, 4G1 Player Development Football Academy. If it's anything to do with college or progressing into college or further education, they can contact me at l.forgione@barnsley.ac.uk as well. And then, like, obviously, I'm on Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn.
Social.
Stuff like so, all social media. I think you've got to get with the modern trend, haven't you? So
Yeah, of course you have.
So yeah, so you can find me on there, and yeah, so
Brilliant. Well, thanks for coming. It's been a pleasure.
no, I appreciate it. Thanks for inviting me.
Brilliant. Ta-ra.